I came from the mud. There's dirt on my hands.
Welcome to Build an Iconic Life podcast. I'm your host, Chris Whitehead, and this podcast is dedicated to help you build a life with zero regrets by focusing on how you have everything you need to stand up, stand out, and live life on your terms. Let's dive right in.
Yeah, the surgery is this thing and cool. It is what it is. But what the other piece of the puzzle that I left out was that I moved maybe a week before surgery. So house is sold, pack up a 4,600 square foot house and move out. Get the soon-to-be ex set up at her place, make sure the kids are set up and they're good to go. And all right, cool. Now that they're good to go, now let me go focus on me and get this thing healed up. So, right prior to me going in and having surgery and to get my arm fixed, we were going through the whole, that's just an emotional state, regardless of what other crap is going on in your life from a physical standpoint. This is a conscious decision to separate from a woman that I spent 21, 22 years with, right? 14 married. We have 3 beautiful kids together. My kids, they're awesome. Right?
Yep.
Everyone thinks their kids are awesome. I'm here to tell you my kids are.
No, your kids are awesome. Your kids are definitely awesome.
So, it's like, hey, what are we doing here? And one of the key pieces for me, and this was me diving deep and doing the inner work, was, okay, I've got 2 choices here. I can continue to stay in this relationship, although I'm not truly happy, for the kids, right? That's the excuse that society throws around. For the kids, stay together, keep the peace for the kids. Let me tell you something about for the kids bullshit. This is my opinion, by the way. Children pick up on more than we give them credit for. And
being a liar is being a liar, man.
Yeah. But if I had stayed, I'm also conveying to my children that it's okay to settle for average. I can't do that. So okay, this is the choice is to move separately, go down this path. It's going to be a rocky road going down the path, right? But we're going to make it happen, and I'm actually doing this for the kids. So my kids get to see. When I get on the backside of this, they get to see a prosperous, happy father who cares for them, who didn't settle and is not conveying the subconscious message to his children that it's okay to settle. Right, so that was a big driving factor for me in making the overall decision in all this.
I get it, man. I mean, the last thing I would ever want to do is leave my son. It's just not the kind of human that I am, right? And quite honestly, over the last 19 years of his life, the first 5 were magical for him. And then we got divorced, and Spencer barely talks to me now. I reach out all the time. But like you, dude, I was living in a small town, running a small business. Golf was the only distraction that I had. I didn't do drugs. I didn't drink. I just played golf. And it's like, what am I teaching him? What am I actually teaching him? And so even though he doesn't physically hang out with me like he used to, I'm all over the internet. I'm talking about the things that I talk about. I'm living the best version of my life. And my hope is that one day, and by the way, he finally joined Facebook and actually started liking some of my posts.
That's
but
so good.
One day, my hope is that it gives him permission. And more important than that, I hope that he does watch my content, because it drives me to be a better version of who I am, because that decision is that important, the one that I made. And I think that's what I hear resonate. Kathryn, I already knew that about you because of the choice that you had made. And then Tom,
Right.
you're in the process on the final leg of like the catastrophe part of it. Right.
Yeah.
And now it's like, dude, what other kind of motivation or fuel do you actually need to overcome your own bullshit?
Well, so and for me too, like I said earlier, like there was this, I mean, November will have been 4 years that the girls were solo, right? And it was winter-ish of 2022 that I started realizing through some of the conversations I was having with the older girls that there was a really big component missing in their lives. So they have a really strong, really successful, really independent mom, right? And all of the women in my space, not all of them, but probably 95% of them are also very strong, very successful, very independent, single moms. And so I made sure never to like man bash in front of the girls. Like I have amazing men in my life who I love and respect dearly, but they're not in the home. And some of these conversations that started coming up, especially Evie, my oldest, were things like, yeah, I want to be a mom, but I don't want to have a husband. Or I don't think I want to be in a relationship. Or, you know, and it was kind of like somehow, without actually conveying this message, what the message I was conveying to them is that relationships aren't safe, relationships aren't healthy, that we don't need unity or partnership. And on the one hand, we don't, but we, as human beings, we are social creatures. As human beings, we are designed to be in partnership. And while I'm so glad that the girls and I have had this experience of knowing that we're fully capable on our own, that so long as we have each other, we're good. It is so much better, and it is so much more fruitful, and it is so much more powerful if you can do what we're doing right now, but you can do it with a partner. And I really had to like come to terms with that. There was a lot of negative self-talk, like, who am I if I tie myself to a man? Am I still me?
Wow.
Yeah, this was a big one. This poor guy. You guys have no idea.
May as well club the other arm at this point.
like, who am I? Like, one of the things that I have really held in front of me sort of as a shield and a weapon is that I don't need a man. I don't need anyone. And I can walk away at any time, and I can take care of myself. And it is that ultra independence thing, but it's also sort of this really deep-seated identity within me, that I'm in the rooms that I'm in because I've opened my own doors. I sit at the tables that I sit at, you know, there's almost like this ego involved, right? Where it's like, a man didn't bring me to this table. I brought myself to this table. I'm not so-and-so's wife. I'm my own, you know what I mean? I'm my own person. And so I've had to confront that. That's definitely been
Spicy.
I have not made things especially easy.
You know, here's the truth, and that's good. Jordan Peterson said this. It's very important to know that you are a monster, and then not bring the monster out. That's being civilized, right? But the best relationships, in my opinion, are the ones that do challenge each other to get to the next level. Otherwise, why be in a relationship, right? And of course, we want to have physical intimacy. We want somebody to talk to. Yeah, that works for a while until that doesn't work anymore. What's most important is that these two people come together and make something even better than what they could have done by themselves. Men have to face that. We're put in a world where we have to go and compete that way. Women, for many, many years, were always subjugated. Well, for the last 50 years, we've been trying to liberate women. And I think what I hear, and this is my honest opinion, Kat, there's a lot of dogma that comes along with your emancipation.
Yep.
And what you're choosing to do is strip away the dogma that doesn't serve so that you can live a life that you deserve. And again, it's like one of the most courageous things on earth, because the momentum is going in a favor that you should just go fuck men and just keep on moving on, because that's the narrative that's out there right now. And you're going, hold up, no, I will be me. So you're still being all of you by making the choice. And that's friggin' beautiful to me. That is friggin' beautiful. And also by one of the hardest damn things on earth to do as well.
It is. And it's been very scary, because, you know, a big story for me is never depending on anyone else, and certainly never depending on a man. And there's this story of respect. And this is something that we talked about last week, because it came to me like, oh my gosh, like, is he going to continue to respect me if I like allow myself to become
vulnerable?
A vulnerable, but even more than that, like a wife. What does that look like? A partner. Like, what does that look like for me? And will he lose respect for me? Because that's been my experience, right? Like, I've always been this really strong, really successful, independent woman. And men have come into my life and they're like, wow, you're amazing. And then as soon as they get me, right? This is what happened with the girl's dad. It was suddenly like, yeah, I liked you when you were strong and independent when I was pursuing you. But now that I have you, I expect you to be XYZ. And trying to fit myself into that and having to remember that, like, he's not them. It's a lot.
Robin and I have struggled with it mightily from her position, and she's not here, so I don't want to speak on it too much, but she had some experiences in the past, and I've definitely, from my perspective, that's funny. She's calling me right now. Definitely from my perspective as her significant other, I've realized sometimes that it's like, that's your paradigm based upon your, like, that's not me. And even if it is me, I don't want to be that. So can we have a civil conversation about how I am being me? You know, and that works sometimes, and sometimes it ends up Chris sleeping at the office. You know, it is what it is. But but the point is that we don't give up. And all I ever wanted personally, and this is what I realized, all I ever wanted was somebody that cared about me enough that wouldn't give up on me. And what that turned into is I wanted to be with somebody that I cared enough about that I never wanted to leave. And once I got real clear on, and this is where personal development came in, because I was doing it for years ahead of time, that person appeared in my life without any, the coincidences that made that random occurrence happen are you can't place a bet and win one time out of a million. So what I realize is that as I keep doing the work on me, the people keep showing up that are doing the work on them, and we just keep getting closer and closer and closer. And that is fulfilling something that little Chris Whitehead has always wanted. And I'm sure in y'all's way, if you don't see it yet, you're gonna come into those things, or you've already seen them, because y'all are way more communicative than we were when we were going through this process. Like, you're insightful about things that neither of us thought about.
We are, but what's funny is, and we've talked about this before, like, I communicate for a living. He communicates for a living. And there have been instances, like I said, like, I would love to say that we have just like coasted through all of the difficulties of the last year. The fact of the matter is, like, we got to learn where our own, one, ego gets in the way, and two, where maybe we're lacking in some communication skills. You know, it's different when you're communicating with a client or a business communication, and then you're communicating with friends versus a partner. And communication was not something that existed in my previous relationship.
Same here.
It was not. So we learned we're not actually as great at communicating as we thought we were. And we've had to learn. I think what sets us apart, Chris, is less that we're good at communicating and more that we are willing to acknowledge when we're not and work on it.
Yeah.
And there have certainly been times as we've been walking this path together where one of us or both of us have had to say, hold on, pause. Because what I'm hearing you say is X, Y, Z, but I need some clarification around that. Because early on, he had so much turmoil. And then I had so much turmoil. We were bringing all of this turmoil here and like just reacting off of each other. And while also doing business together and serving clients together and speaking and like taking care of children and doing all of these things that really everything from the outside, we were growing, we were doing a lot of business, we were doing really well, doing all this inner work and stuff. Whereas like in private behind closed doors, like we're kind of burning each other down a lot. Like behaviors that I have not displayed since I left my relationship almost 4 years ago. Behaviors that he has never displayed. And we both
it's so
this
easy to take that and displace it on the oh, it's that person's fault. They must be exactly like this is exactly why I don't. So that's a certain language pattern versus hold up, wait a minute, this is why I've been doing what I've been doing for the last 5 years of my life or whatever. And now you get the chance to actually practice it with somebody that'll allow you to, which is friggin' amazing. And it's not fun. There's no fun part about it.
It's not, but that's the work, right? We talk about all the time, doing the work. Or what does the work look like? And obviously that's a loaded question because it depends on what you're working on, right?
Yeah.
But this is a version of doing the work in the self-development area, right? And I think Kathryn and I are finally at a point where we've gone on our own. We've done so much self-development as individuals that the next iteration, the next growth pattern, the next growth path for us is to do it collectively.
Yeah.
Here we are.
There are things that, and Chris, you and I have talked about this before. I have clients I've talked to about this. This is something that my mentor and I used to talk about all the time. There are things that you cannot heal if you are not in partnership with someone because they just don't, they don't come up. So for me, like, and I'm going to be like really transparent here. So I have massive commitment issues. I grew up with really, really deep abandonment issues. And what that turned into as a coping strategy as an adult is that I have massive commitment issues. And that doesn't mean like I don't cheat and things like that. I just don't get involved. I don't get involved. And for me, it meant being single for years and years and years. And like, when I say single, I mean, I didn't date. I wasn't sleeping with anybody. Like I was single. I was single for years because I could not find it in myself to trust myself enough to trust someone else to commit. And that was a big issue for us early on in our conversations because like I was just like, you don't know what you're talking about and you need to figure your shit out. And I love you, but quit fucking talking to me right now. You know what I mean? Like, and that's a legitimate feedback. You know, that's something that we had to come face to face with not that long ago is, do I want to? Because of course I wanted to, but am I capable of doing that? Can I lean in when the urge for me is to lean out? So, you know, there are certainly things, and I never would have confronted that if I hadn't gotten into a relationship. I never would have needed to.
Yeah.
It's, you know, part of the reason I love coaching other people or, you know, running Iconic and even the comments and posts and videos that I do, I never would have thought being in love with somebody would hurt as much as it does. I just never thought it would. And so I want to encourage people to never quit. That's why whenever I get up on y'all's stage, it's I'm the only thing I'm proud about is that I've never quit. I am proud about that. I'm not proud about how I stumbled to get there, but I'm very proud that I've never quit. And if I don't quit, I might be able to have the results that I want, which means if you never quit. And what that means for me is I've already given myself permission to never quit on me personally. Mm-hmm. What I mean is never quit on the agreements that I've made with other people, because that's integrity.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so I see you guys doing it too. And I'm really proud of you both for doing it, because look, I'm not only the president, I'm a client. I mean, I get it. I get it. But when you meet that person, they're going to challenge you. They're going to bring out that stuff, because the healing wants to happen. I truly believe that the healing wants to happen. We just have to get in the way of it. And then we can't control it, which, like, everything you're saying is brilliant, because I became a, ninja master of this stuff too. And then all of a sudden I realized, dude, you were holding on to the pencil way, way too tight. You just got to let the thing do its thing.
Yeah.
So what is the next chapter?
We kind of just spoke about it a little while ago, but finalizing things for me is piece of it. Just sold the house that we bought 3 years ago. Moved out, got the kids and the soon-to-be ex in the new place, and surgery kind of threw a little bit of a monkey wrench into me going and finding my new place. And I've been playing the Airbnb game here for a couple of weeks, which has actually been, I've never gone and Airbnb'd myself ever. Like, I've always gone and stayed in hotels. I've been to other people's Airbnbs. Like, I've never been the one who's gone into the account.
Really?
And, yeah, which is like the strangest thing, me being the tech nerd. So I went in, I had a couple of ideas of where I wanted to stay that were still close to the kids, so I could, be within reach of them and still see them and whatnot. Because I don't want to, like, look, I'm also a child of a divorced household. I know what it's like when your parents split it for and your dad is barely around. And I never want to do that. Okay. So me being around the kids is a very big piece. And it's been a huge piece of the equation since day one. So I went around and looked for local places, and Chris, you've been to this area a lot, but we're in like far north Dallas, mm-hmm. and we're damn near close to Oklahoma. If you go 5, maybe 10 minutes outside of the suburban area of where I was living, I mean, it's country. All right, cool. I got to go heal. I need some peace, quiet, tranquility. Let's go find some places that have that, which will just be a better environment for me overall to go, heal up this broken chicken wing over here I got. So went out and Airbnb and found some places. We just left an old farmhouse. It was built in, I think, the 1840s or 1860s, which is really cool.
Spent the last week there.
Spent last week there. And we're going into another one later today that is also it's in farm country. It's this beautiful little place. So with that being said, travel still going on, speaking still going on, Startup Academy still going on. We got the quarterly meetup coming up in a couple of weeks, which you're coming down for, which I think is awesome. But bigger picture wise, now the focus has been the last couple of days, since I'm a little bit more mobile and getting out, is going and finding a new place to live, a new place to call home. And I'm looking forward to getting it set up, establishing or reestablishing some roots in a place that I can call home. Not just, okay, cool, you're here for a week, you're here for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Right. The travel lifestyle is cool until it's not.
Yep.
Yeah. And as far as like for us, it's just figuring out navigating 7 kids. I wanted to stop at 2.
So did I. I put up at 2, and 2 and 3 came at the same time. So.
Yeah. Yeah. And
fun fact. Between both of us, we have 2 sets of twins.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's kind of, whatever. I got nothing to say to that. And Robin has twins, and they're my twins. I've been with them long enough; they're mine. So,
he
small world.
threatening with a sprinter van. So that's these are the conversations that we're starting to have now. So like, what's next? There's a lot on the table, and we're both really good at sort of like looking at the big picture and then narrowing focus. But you know, there's definitely conversation, like, what does this look like moving forward?
Mm-hmm.
You know, for me, my story for years was, if I ever get into another relationship, not when, but if, I'm going to have my life over here and my person will have their life over there. We'll sort of meet when we want to. Maybe we'll travel together, but like, he's going to have his own place and I'm going to have my own place. And we've been doing that for a while now, and it's
getting old.
It's old. It's definitely, it's really hard to conduct an actual committed relationship, says the girl who has commitment issues, from a mile away. You know, and we travel together a lot. We see each other, but this is actually the first time that we've spent time together that didn't revolve around work or didn't have either my bunch of kids or his bunch of kids or all of the kids together. Mm-hmm. And so this has been it's been an experience for us as well, just sort of like existing in the same space. Yeah. You know, and these are the things that people don't talk about when they talk about, especially at our age, getting into relationship. Like, how do you learn to exist together? You know, and he's obviously, like, he travels to see us and I come here to see him, and we go to Boston to speak. And, you know, like I said, we've traveled around together, but we've never just existed in the same space together until his surgery.
Yeah.
I think what this calls for is, in about a year, we're going to get on a podcast. I'll bring Robin in too. And yes. We'll get into some deeper conversations, because it'll be really interesting to see how you guys are eyes wide open going through this process. Mm-hmm. I think a lot of people have a fairy tale version in their head when they do this thing, and they think, oh my God, it's all going to be good now and everything's going to work out. And I finally found my person, and then all hell breaks loose. And it would be good for people to know that, hey, that's actually the norm. Do you know?
Yeah.
The statistics are, the divorce rate is about 60% of first marriages. It only goes up. Mm-hmm. Second marriages are like 85%. Third marriages are 95%. So, and we don't like, I don't condone divorce. I don't think that it's a wonderful thing to do. I'm glad we don't live in the Stone Ages where you get your hand chopped off if you do it, because there are good reasons to do it. Or if you're a woman, they stone you to death. Yeah, but at the same time, you know, it's having these authentic conversations about it and what you actually are doing. Dude, I'm really glad that you guys are staying in a farmhouse in a serene setting. Like, there's probably nothing better you could be doing than that right now.
Yeah, very intentional.
Well, and you know, having a lot of really serious conversations, like, what does this look like moving forward now that we're sort of through the storm? Because I think what happens too, and I know this certainly happened for me when I ended my relationship, you sort of like, you're in survival mode. Like, you're just like putting one foot in front of the other. Like, you are literally putting out one fire as 7 other fires are blazing around you. And it takes a little while for the air to clear. And we're just finally reaching the point where we can sort of like, the smoke is starting to clear a little bit. And so, well, obviously his surgery is the reason that I was originally here. Like, the conversations that we're having now that we can sort of like breathe, our conversations about the fact that, like, I don't ever want to get divorced again. I don't ever want to get into a relationship that I don't plan on having, like, be the rest of my life. I would rather be single than invest and get heartbroken, or invest my children and get their hearts broken. You know what I mean? And I mean, he's Mr. like 20-year relationship over here. Commitment issues, no commitment issues.
Oh, Tom's got some commitment issues
too. Look like moving forward, because we do know the statistics. We absolutely know the statistics, and we don't want our kids or our relationship to be a statistic. But again, like you said, like we're not going into this like this is a fucking fairy tale and now everything we get to live happily ever after, because that's not real life. We live in real life every single day. You know, that's also why, you know, when it was brought to me today, like I think you guys should have this conversation with Chris. Yes, you're exactly the person we should be having this conversation with, making this public. But at the same time, like there was that part of me that was like, if we talk about this publicly, then people will know. And all of a sudden, I'm in a relationship. What does that do
It's
to
real.
You're gonna know, and then what if it doesn't work and it falls apart? And it's not because I am afraid of people judging. I could give a two shits less what people actually think. But like, there's an extra layer of pressure that I feel on my body. Like, oh my gosh, she's not a single mom anymore. Like, what does that do to my, you know what I mean? So like, it's this whole like process, you know, and people tend to think like it's the men who have to like figure out how to be in a relationship. No.
Well, you're doing it, and that's all that really matters is you're actually doing it.
Yeah.
And it's nice to see real smiles on your face. I know back in I think it was 2021 to 2022 is when Tom got that job. I was flying down every month to come be a part and then to come help, and then Tom, you know, invited me to come work for the company as well. Greatest and worst decision I ever made in my life. And Tom went from being a very young, good-looking 42-year-old to dude was aging month by month.
Mm-hmm.
And then
he's still very good looking.
Yeah, hold on. And then when the cancer hit, I literally saw the gray come in. And because I know that Tom is the kind of guy that just holds the line, he's kind of like Hodor. Sometimes, like, you know, just like super strong. I have a job to do. He wouldn't talk about it. And I didn't want to ask about it if he didn't want to talk about it, but I could see the stress. And what I'm seeing now is a reversal of all that. It's pretty crazy.
What's funny is he didn't want to talk about it, and I didn't give him a choice.
Good.
Because you have to be able to challenge the people in your life. And this was long before there was ever a relationship, even like either one of us even considered or thought about it, right? But I challenge you the same way, Chris. You have to challenge the people that you love. Especially when you see them not, like you guys do this, like, I'm just going to hold it together because I'm the man and that's my job. And that's such fucking bullshit.
Hold on.
Not always. No, it's not. I don't agree.
We challenge the people in our lives. I'm speaking for all of us here. Because as coaches, we can also see a lot more of their true potential than they can.
Mm-hmm.
I think so.
Don't look at me like that.
I think
Yes.
so. That's why we make Kathryn get on stage and talk by herself at every event that she attends now.
Right, Kathryn,
and it's why
to writing a book this year.
I did not commit to writing a book.
Yes, we can do it at the same time, and I can come out with my next one. And we actually sent Kathryn a real microphone so she could do real Facebook Lives and do her own podcast and all of the things that she has made other people exceptionally wealthy at. Because now it is your time for your voice, because you're ready. And you have two friends that are here to make sure that you do not fall off that straight and narrow path. We're going to do this shit together, everybody. That's the best part about it. For me, that's the best part about it. And I was telling somebody the other day, like, even though that experience, I was on a podcast, and he also has, he worked with that person as well. And I said, the one thing that I got from it that is better than anything, and why I can never say anything negative, I met my best friends there, and that would have never happened. It would have never, ever happened if I hadn't gotten outside of my comfort zone and given me an opportunity. And then Mark makes a post about all of us talking in that foyer. Tom, we might not have worked together if that hadn't happened. Like, there's so many things that had to happen. And so the same thing with y'all's relationship, and all that leads me to is a singularity that's so beautiful, is as long as I keep doing the best I can do to fulfill my destiny, I can have faith to keep moving forward, because the right things will show up at the right time. And that's a mindset hack. So now I don't have to try to control everything, because my nature as a business owner is to go and hold everything super tight. But that also restricts growth. And I want to grow. I want to see my friends grow. I want to see our visions grow. And I'm proud of you guys for doing it, because I know how tough it is. I want to sign off, and we'll put y'all's links in there, but this was more of like three friends hanging out talking kind of thing, than it was really a podcast. I kind of dig it.
We prioritize business and making money and growing, and those are still really important to us. It's one of the things that we connect really deeply on is building businesses and growth and taking care of clients. But one of the elements that is coming into our space now is that this takes priority over anything else. Because if this isn't solid, everything around us starts to fall apart, and we've experienced that in the last year within our own relationship, the conflict that we've faced together. And like I said, there were times where we leaned out, and it wasn't just this that got messy; everything else started to get messy. And when we do if this is solid, whether we are in conflict or not, if our foundation is solid, the kids are good, the home is good, business is good. But when we start to do this, business starts to slack, the kids start to feel it, things start to fall apart at home. Even living in separate homes, things start to get hard, right? And so, that's one of those things where, like, our conversation recently has been like, this has to be the number one priority. And it's funny because we all coach couples, right? Or we coach individuals who are in relationships. It's like, are you prioritizing your marriage? Are you prioritizing your relationship? Are you doing date night? And like, now that we're here, it's like, oh shit, this is what I meant when I was telling people to actively do that, right? Because I've never done that before, even in relationship. Everything else precedent over the relationship, and that definitely played a part in why the relationship went the way that it did. And that's been his experience as well. So that's a mind shift for both of us. Is
business does not come first.
Business does not come first. So
again, that's what I said. I think in about a year we're going to get on this again, and we're going to have some conversations, because I think some more insights are going to come, and I think it's really important that people hear them.
I agree. Appreciate.
So I won't. Yeah, of course. I appreciate you guys taking the time to come on, and like, you're in between places, so you go down to your business office to record the thing. I mean, that means a lot to me. I really do appreciate it.
I came from the mud. There's dirt on my hands. Strong like a tree. There's roots where I stand.
Hey friend, if you enjoyed listening to this podcast, please leave a review and subscribe to catch future casts. If you really enjoyed this episode, make sure you share it so others can benefit from it as well. I'll see you in the trenches.
Try to catch me howling at the moon.